I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational. But that just wouldn't be our style. Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever. Right on. Shotgun. DC right. Flip 90. Dig. On the center. On the center. Ready?
You're on mute, Steve.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Bills Guys. My name is Steve Mathis. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Mathis, joined as always by my co-host Dave Tilton. You can find him on Twitter at Tilt Money. We are going to be joined by two special guests today, but only one of them is in the building right now. The man is always on time. That's why he's our editor-in-chief, the editor-in-chief of the Buffalo Fanatics website, the host of the NFL Basement podcast, Sir Adam Nannini. How you doing tonight, Adam?
They call me the chief for a reason, you know. I'm doing great, Steve-O. Thanks for having me on. You and David. I mean, it's great to see you guys.
Yeah, the reason why we brought you on is because you've got the NFL expertise. So we're going to go a little bit out of our comfort zone today, and we're not just going to talk about the Buffalo Bills. We're going to talk about the entire National Football League. So you and Casey, our gambling man, are the two guys that we need in the building for this conversation. But before we get started, Dave, who do we got in the chat section? Because it's already piling up in the comments here.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the chat section's blowing up. Dr. Meme, of course, is in there. We've got Travis Sinnett, B. Sully Elliott's, of course, in the house tonight. Chris Janke, our guy. Ryan Teal's in the house. Josh Barrett. Let's see, who else do we got in there? Daniel Gowries, another regular's in the house. Sean Wilkinson. So we've got a lot of our regulars. Ryan Seelbeck, another regular of ours, is in the house. Rick James, the one and only, is in the house. Stephen Campione, how could I forget? So we've got a lot of our normal viewers in. We appreciate all you guys and everyone else that's also tuned in. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, while we got you guys here, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, like I said last show, or I might have said this on the Rico Report, if you don't have like a best friend, or you're sick of your best friend, like you're just over them, and you're looking for somebody to talk Buffalo Bills football with, right there on the bottom scroll, text BF 716-219-0086. Bobby, Pierre, Rico, they are working the phone lines. If you guys have questions, you guys want to work through something, you guys just want to chat about the Buffalo Bills any time of day, 24/7, hit up the BF hotline. Hit it up, chat with the founders at any time. That's one of the newest features of the Buffalo Fanatics website. So make sure you guys are doing that as well. So we miss Ryan Teal, says Tim Stook, and I do apologize for that, Ryan. Thank you. Welcome to you.
I mentioned him.
You mentioned him? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So
Steve-O, I have a new best friend. That's
you
great.
have a new best friend?
Oh, I'm going to be using that
Heather's
all
in the house
day,
too.
every
Heather's
day.
in.
We before we get to the ads and all that stuff, and before we get to the predictions, well, first of all, we have another guest here. Let me welcome him in. He's making me work hard on the board here.
All
We're gonna
right.
add him to the screen.
What is going on?
How you doing?
What up,
You made it just in time because Casey Reed is in the house of the Buff City Podcast here to talk NFL predictions today. Gentlemen, we got to have a conversation about this though.
Join the clan.
Oh,
Join the clan.
Oh, God.
Well, the first thing I want to point out is the picture of Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs posted this picture of Josh Allen today. But people on Twitter are kind of running with it, and it's starting to freak me out because I've had at least 50 messages today telling me to change my profile picture. How many people have done this? Like, how many people's profile pictures look like this?
A lot of
in
my
the comment
followers.
section.
Yeah.
I've been busy all day. I have no idea what's going on Twitter. I just saw that you posted that picture, and all he said was join the clan. And let's talk about it real quick, right? What does the clan have to offer for me, right? It's all about
I think
I'm here for
You're
it.
not a team guy, Casey. Come on. You got to be a team guy. Can't be all about you.
Look, you want me to join the clan? I want to know what the clan can do for me, okay?
Well, my thing is that legitimately looks like a Madden photograph. Like, is he trying to go full mustache, but kind of goatee, so it's not full mustache. Like, what's he trying to pull off there? I have no idea.
Can I make a point on this?
Yeah, of course.
Advice to Mr. Allen. If Baker Mayfield did it, don't do it. Okay. General good advice. Don't do anything. BM, big mouth, bowel movement. Baker Mayfield does. Okay. We don't want you like him. We don't need you being cocky, growing a mustache, and then at halftime doing something else with your facial hair. That's not our boy. So shave the mustache.
Pierre said no. It's definitely Clan with a C, Pierre. But I still
oh, no, that's terrible.
But like that's the thing. Like it's still problematic. Like it's a problem. Like we shouldn't be just throwing the word Klan around. Like I get it. It's a word. It's an adjective. People use it. We shouldn't be throwing it around unless we're spelling it, and they're spelling it with a C. So yeah,
the poor Scots. They can't get anything. Taking everything away.
What a way to start the video cast.
So, gents, let's get right to it. And I want to preface today's show by saying, first of all, I'm just all over the place. We had 2 fantasy drafts today, so my brain is not functioning as well this evening as it used to be. But, ladies and gentlemen, head over to manscaped.com. Refining the gentleman, you can get 20% off plus free shipping off of your purchase using promo codes Fanatics. All right, it's not just, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just downstairs products. They sent us some nice little free samples. I got the side shoulders because I got the weird hairs.
He does.
Growing out the shoulders. I got the shoulder hair. I grew the shoulder hair. I grew the bicep hair. You can use it all over your body. It's not just below the waist. I'm wearing the underwear right now. It's super comfortable. So head over.
Prove it.
Manscaped.com. Manscaped.com, 20% off plus free shipping using the promo code Fanatics. But let's just get right into it today, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to talk about the NFL. So it's going to be a little bit of a different show today. We are going to go through the entire National Football League conference by conference. But we don't want it to just be the 4 of us having this conversation today. We want the chat section lit up. We want you guys telling us why our predictions are wrong. You want us telling you why you agree with us. Give us your hottest takes on what do you think is going to help or is going to happen in the National Football League this year. That's what we're striving for. Okay, so we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills division. And in the AFC East, I got the Bills. Casey's got the Bills.
Hey,
Casey's
you know what?
got the Bills.
I've got the Bills. I've got the Bills, but let me just defend Adam here for a second because I think I know where he's coming from. It's the Pats division until we win it, right? So until it happens, it's their division. Like we all were kind of assuming.
But we're going to win it this year.
We're going to win it this year, but we still got to go out and do it. And it was kind of, I don't want to call it a write-in when we thought Adam was going to be the quarterback, but let's not make any mistakes here. Like Cam Newton makes that team better, regardless of what you think of Cam Newton. If you think he's washed up or whatever, it's still a better team with him at the helm. Amen. And they're still the champs until we knock them off. So I do think the Bills have a better roster and a better team. All the teams have a tough schedule, which is why I still think the Bills can win the division. But I could see where Adam's going with that one. They're the champs until we knock them off.
Can I make one point on this?
Yeah, no, explain yourself, man.
Look, in the last 10 years, how many times have you looked at the Patriots roster and said, whoa, that's one of the best rosters in the league? Never. They've never needed to have an amazing roster. This is a team that's about being a team. It's about being well coached. It's about their sort of continuity and the way in which they play together. Like David said, and I think David gets me in this, until they go down, it is their division. And so, and I think right now, I'm a little afraid we got to be careful. We got to have a little humility. Stay humble and hungry, says Sean McDermott. Well, I'm going to stay humble and hungry. And I'm telling you right now, until I see otherwise. I mean, look, Josh Allen hasn't even beaten the Patriots. Okay? I mean, and he had arguably a more talented team at times. And I'm not saying, and it's funny because David and I are both in North Carolina. So we understand Cam. We're in Cam culture over here. And look, I love Cam Newton. And if somebody can take advantage of him and make use of his skill set, it's going to be Bill Belichick. I'm not saying they're going to dominate the division, I think. But, Matt Castle had a better record than we did back in the day. And so until they go down, I'm sticking with the Patriots. I don't love it. I'm not happy about it. Come at me, haters. I'm not happy about it. I'm just saying, I think the Pats are going to win the division.
We got Cody Finney entering the chat. Cody, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Zach Allen says, we have Cam 2.0, Stephen Campione. He agrees with Tilt. He's pumped, but he still wants to see us do it. Dr. Meme says Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. Casey, you look like you're just itching to get something off here. What do you want to say?
Well, somebody in the chat said Cam Newton looks like the type of guy to get out of the shower and pee, and I lost it in the middle of Adam being very serious. So that's what I was looking at, and I'm so sorry, guys. No, but I agree. I agree with both of them. Like, I'm the type of Bills fan that it's weird. I think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of my generation, at least.
Every generation.
Sure. And a lot of people fight me on that. A lot of people hate Bill Belichick just because he's New England, but I love it. I love watching him coach, and I love the way he schemes. There was a playoff game against the Ravens where he shifted his D-line, and the offensive line jumped off, right? And everybody freaked out, and apparently there's some rule that he, researched. The fact that he's that type of coach, I love it. I love everything to do with it. So I agree. It doesn't matter who Bill Belichick has on his team. It's up to him to make sure that they are ready to go. And he's proven that time after time after time after time. But right now, without preseason, without anything, I'm still taking the Bills over it. And I'm trying not to be a homer. I'm trying to be very logical about it.
It's fair, and I'm with you there, but I will say this. Bill Belichick is a top 5 coach all time. He's not number 1, but he's top 5.
That's
I
fair.
just want to make that clear. But, that's a great point. I'm with you there. And it's reasonable to pick the Bills. A lot of people are.
Well, I'm with Josh here because he says this team is 100% different than teams in the past. And I got to agree with Josh here. I think this team is absolutely built different. Casey kind of touched on it from a consistency standpoint. Brand new quarterback came in late in the game, COVID off season. They're losing a ton of starters on defense. Their offensive line coach, Dante Scarnecchia, retired again. Last time he retired, their offensive line fell apart. I think all of the cards are falling in place for the Buffalo Bills this year. But here's where I'm going to get myself in trouble with Bills Mafia.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Oh,
I think the Bills are probably a 10-win football team this year.
That's
not
fair.
an 11-win team, not a 12-win tean. I think we have one of the toughest schedules in the National
I
Football
think they're
League.
9, honestly.
We got four West Coast trips. But I will. When I say that, I think the Buffalo Bills finish with 9 or 10 wins. But they're the only team. They are the only team in the AFC East that finishes this year with a winning record. Period. I think they have the only roster capable of having a winning record in the AFC East. I don't think any other team in the AFC East kisses 500 this year. I think 7 wins would be lucky for any of the other 3 teams in the AFC East besides the Buffalo Bills. 7 if we're lucky. The Patriots have the toughest schedule in the National Football League this year.
Steve-O, just to be clear, you're saying you doubt the abilities of known narcotic user Adam Gase?
Oh, without a doubt. I definitely.
Does he want to get fired?
The Jets, here's the thing.
Does he like coaching? That's my question. Because everywhere he goes, he tries to he strips the whole thing down, and he's like, "Fire me, I bet you won't." And then they fire him.
Not that white powder, bro.
Yeah. They fire him, then they're like, you know what? Some other team out there is like, you know what? Let's hire Adam Gase. Sure, he did a lot of blow in Miami, but who doesn't? That's what people were thinking, and they hired him in New Jersey, and now look what's happening in New Jersey. I mean, it's just something over. I don't think
a couple of people in here. It's like I'm glad that they agree with me. 10 wins, tough schedule. It'll give us either the 3 or the 4 seed in the AFC. It'll get us a home playoff game. Not that matters because there's no way New York State's going to be letting anyone in anytime soon. But I honestly think a 9-win Buffalo Bills team this year that wins the division and makes the playoffs is more impressive than the 10-win team last year.
I agree.
I agree
with that.
Because the schedule is so much tougher than it was the year previous. So much tougher. All right, let's move on. And this is where we're hopping out of our comfort zone on this show a little bit. We are leaving the AFC East, and we are heading to the AFC North. And again, Adam is the one defector here. I have the Ravens. Casey has the Ravens. Dave has the Ravens. And Adam has the Pittsburgh Steelers. Adam, again, just explain yourself. And people in the comment section, let us know what you think is going to be happening in the AFC North this year, because I think this is where the 1 seed's going to come.
Well, I actually had to call Lamar Jackson's mother this morning, and I said, "I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real." No, I'm just saying. No. It's the Steelers. The Steelers are going to be the winners of the North this season. A couple of reasons. Their defense is absolutely legit. They are going to be the best defense in that division, no doubt. And they just seem to get better and better. They got a middle linebacker who was awesome last year from Michigan, who is going to have a year under his belt. You remember the difference between Tremaine year 1 and year 2? Just saying. And the Ravens, wow, they are great. The thing is, their whole scheme is people are figuring that out. What is every, great defensive player they say? They say, defensive coordinators pay attention. They catch up. I'm telling you, the Steelers have the defense to stop the Ravens. I think that Ben Roethlisberger coming back, he doesn't even have to be full Ben. And people forget how great Ben Roethlisberger can be.
He was great in 2018 too, by the way. He was really good.
He was.
That's what was stopping me, because I almost picked the Steelers.
Well, off the field, he's an asshole, right? No offense,
Sure.
Ben, but you can be, okay? But look, how many players in the league, have as many 500-yard games as Ben Roethlisberger? This guy can light up the scoreboard. And then here's the thing: with that defense, he doesn't have to. He's got a great offensive line, a solid running game, a good, receiver crew. But they don't have to put up 30 points. They can put up 25 points and win out. The Ravens, on the other hand, I think they're so scheme-based. And, yes, they're very deep. They have a great, deep team. And I'm not saying they're going to be bad this season. But if Ben is healthy, that's the key thing. Because remember, this team was 8-5 with Duck Hodges. 8-5. Ben is going to –
What's Duck Hodges doing nowadays?
What's that?
What's Duck Hodges doing nowadays?
He just got cut for Josh Dobbs.
And they picked him up to the practice squad on the Steelers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so he's back because they picked up Josh Dobbs, who got cut by Tampa, I believe. And they brought him back, the old, was it Tennessee quarterback? Yeah, I'm just saying, if Ben's healthy, legit healthy, 80% healthy, he doesn't have to be 100% Ben. That division is theirs. I'm giving it to the Steelers. I know why you guys are doing your thing. It's reasonable. The Ravens are a great team, but that's my piece.
Yeah, the Ravens have the easiest schedule in the National Football League based on the records of their opponents last year. Pittsburgh's second. So I get where you're coming from. I think Cleveland's going to surprise some people this year because Stefanski comes from Minnesota, where, he brings those tight ends. They ran a lot with Dalvin Cook and Alex Madison, and they got Nick Chubb, and they have Kareem Hunt. So I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be better. I think Cincinnati's going to surprise some people. I think they're going to be like the Miami Dolphins of last year, where, they'll win 5 or 6 games and be entertaining, but they won't be good. So this is a tougher division. But, at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews. Come on. There's just so many weapons, and that defense is so good. And John Harbaugh is such a good coach. I can't picture a world where the Baltimore Ravens don't win that division. Now, I have the Steelers, getting the wild card, but Ben Roethlisberger was just too big of a question mark for me to make them a division winner. 38 years old. I get that he was good 2 years ago, coming off of a shoulder surgery. Plus, there's going to be some culture issues in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Josh Dobbs is coming over from Jacksonville to be the new backup quarterback.
Yeah. And
he was dating the former Bachelorette from a couple of seasons ago. And also Mason Rudolph was dating the former Bachelorette. Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs, both backup quarterbacks in Pittsburgh, have dated the same TV star. So we might have some culture problems in Pittsburgh that we got to worry about.
Iron sharpens
Tomlin
iron,
can deal
bro.
with it.
Iron sharpens iron.
Tomlin can handle that.
I was about to say, you would
Tomlin
think that
had
would
a
be an
deal.
issue, but I don't know if that would be an issue, right? Because, like, who's dating him now? Is it Dobbs dating him now?
I don't think either of them are.
Oh, okay, well, then at that point, it's like, hey, attaboy, right? Like, no one cares at that point.
It's not going to matter. Tomlin dealt with the Antonio Brown nonsense.
Yeah, that's true.
This is
on
gonna be a non-issue. He's dealt with things. Oh, he's been there for long enough. He's dealt with a lot of things. Tomlin has over the years. Dealt with the Le'Veon Bell holdout for the entire season. He dealt with the Antonio Brown's nonsense. Like that's a minor thing to me. A backup quarterback that two backup quarterbacks that dated the same person. That's going to be a non-issue. I do think the Steelers are going to be really good this year. The defense is elite. I don't have them win the division, but same as Steve. I have them getting in as a wild card team that we'll show it later, but they're going to be a really good team this year, I think. And between Juju and Deontay Johnson and James Washington, and they've got James Conner back, and they've got Jalen, like their offenses should be in pretty good shape as well. So,
and they got that big receiver in the draft too. One thing
Chase,
to remember about the Ravens,
Claypool,
one small point. Yeah, Claypool. I think he's going to be pretty good, actually. I like that kid. One small point about the Ravens before we move on. Remember how different their offense was when Mark Andrews went out. You don't think defensive coordinators were paying attention to that? Just saying. Big difference.
Chris Janke here with, you guys think Juju's a legit number one? I don't. I've been avoiding him in fantasy this year. Casey, what do you think about
I do think he is.
You do?
Yeah. He's only 23. He had one of the best seasons ever 2 years ago for someone his age. I think that we forget how young he is. I think that he wasn't necessarily ready to take that alpha mantle last year, especially when Roethlisberger went down, but he's now had the entire last season and this offseason to kind of figure himself out. Plus, he's playing for a contract because the Steelers haven't extended him. He's going into this is it for him. So he's got a lot to play for this year, and I think he's ready to be. I think Juju will have a really good season this year.
What about you, Casey? You're the fantasy guy.
I am avoiding him, but it's not for the reasons that I think that he can be a number one. I think he could be a number one wide receiver. I just don't think yet. And it also depends on what quarterback is throwing in the ball. Sometimes when you look at a number one wide receiver, you want that number one wide receiver to take over the game, like D-Hop did in Houston when he was getting thrown to by backup quarterbacks all throughout his career, right? You want that to happen. And like David said, he wasn't ready for it last year. But now that Ben's coming back, my issue is, Ben, is he back for real? He is 38. He is coming off that injury. I don't want to draft Juju high in rounds when I can get other receivers that I know are a guarantee, but Juju can turn into that. So trade bait. I mean, that's the way I would look at it.
Casey, from a fantasy standpoint, I'm with you 100%. And David, I do agree with you that he could be. Here's the thing I would say. The number one receiver position is overrated. When you think of like Super Bowl winning teams, like, who was the number one receiver for the Eagles when they beat the Patriots? Who was the number one receiver for the Patriots all those years? Was it Julian Edelman? Was he truly a number one? I mean, compared to Juju, give me a break. Like this whole thing about, often the teams that have that great receiver, the Julio Joneses and so forth, like
they're not good.
So
that's why I think Juju's going to benefit this year with having potentially Claypool contribute and Deontay Johnson on the other side and Ben back. I don't think there's he's a top 20 receiver in the NFL, I would say, which puts him as like a number one guy. So, obviously a lot of receivers' production changes when their quarterback changes. There's a few exceptions, like Casey mentioned, with Nuke Hopkins and a few others. But like for the most part, if your quarterback goes down, your production's going to take a hit.
Agreed.
All right, let's go and let's check out the AFC South, where Dave is the one dissenting opinion.
Hey, to set the record straight, we did not send these picks. I had no idea who was picking what. Right. So
yeah, nobody knew. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
Let me explain myself here.
Yeah, explain yourself,
please.
Because I don't even have Houston making the playoffs.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Brian.
This division is going to be tough this year. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Colts are one of my wild card teams. I have the Titans also as well. I have 3 teams from this division making the playoffs. I just think the Texans, for me, with Deshaun Watson, he's a special player. And I think that although they lost DeAndre Hopkins, if the combination of guys like David Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller, Randall, like people are assuming the Texans offense is going to take this huge step back. And I'm not necessarily sold that they are going to take a huge step back. Now they got Tunsil back there and they've shored up the offensive line a little bit. They still have got Duke Johnson as a complementary player. So they got the Johnson brothers back there. Yeah. And I mean, they have some guys on defense. Like that defense is kind of honestly what you worry about with this team. And they, Watt is always a question mark. He's always kind of been injured the last couple of years, but I look at it, it starts and ends with Deshaun Watson in that division. And to me, it's like a 38-year-old Phillip Rivers. It's a Ryan Tannehill who had a good season last year on the coattails of Derrick Henry and Gardner Minshew. So yeah, I don't know why I would get flamed too much for picking the Texans when they have Deshaun Watson, who could be an MVP candidate.
I'm not flaming you, bro. It's a good pick.
No, I know. I know.
I'm coming at you.
I know. Casey, I was going to say, Casey looks like he's about to go,
That's
man.
fine.
Like, so,
I'm here.
Yeah, go, Casey. Let's hear it.
No, I agree with everything David said, especially with Watt. He's always a question mark on defense, and that's that. I don't know. I don't see the Texans taking a huge step back on offense. I just don't trust their coach. Like I just don't. And I know that shouldn't be the issue, but we had somebody who said you could be the greatest coach in the world, but if your players don't perform, then you won't win. But it's also vice versa on that. You could have the greatest player ever. You could have, quote unquote, the Michael Jordan of his generation on a football team and have a terrible coach and it just not perform. I like Tennessee. I like the coach down there in Tennessee. I like the players. You mentioned Ryan Tannehill. I'm the coach of Derrick Henry. Man, come on. People kill Ryan Tannehill and say he's nothing but a game manager. Okay, cool. Like I want my quarterback, managing the game. And if all he has to do is hand the ball to Derrick Henry 25 times a game and Derrick Henry run for, 2,000 yards a season and that's going to win them games, then by all means, like just hand the ball off. But there were some games where Derrick Henry was out. The Saints game, I was actually there in person during the Saints game. They should have won that game. I think the refs blew that call. But Ryan Tannehill took over the game when it mattered, and he had them in a position to win. And I think the refs made the wrong call, but it is what it is. That's why I like Tennessee over the Texans there.
This AJ Brown division. I was just gonna say this could be another division where like the division winner gets 9 wins. It very well could.
It's a tough division.
I expect that.
There's a lot of parity in the National Football League this year. And you're going to notice that like a majority of my picks, the justification is they have a really good defense in a COVID-shortened season when I think defense is going to be extra important, and they have just enough weapons on offense to score points. So I think Tennessee has the best. I think Tennessee has the best defense in that division. You can make an argument for the Colts. I think Tennessee has the best. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons, Kenny Vaccaro, Kevin Byard, Adoree Jackson. They have a lot of good players. They just added Jadeveon Clowney. That defense is legit. And I think that defense is going to stop people. I think you got Derrick Henry to control the clock. And then you got Ryan Tannehill to manage a game, as Casey mentioned, with guys like A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith coming into his own. They got Darrington Evans off the bench to give them maybe some chunk plays as a change of pace back or a receiver out of the backfield. Adam Humphries is still there as a security blanket. Corey Davis is still there as a jump ball receiver. So, yeah, Rashad Evans on the defense. I forgot to mention him. The Tennessee Titans are very, very, very good. I honestly think that they're a Super Bowl caliber team this year. I think they're a team that could sneak, not be like the superstars of the regular season, but make a run in the playoffs because they have a team built for the playoffs, in my opinion.
They did that last year.
Yeah, they did it last year.
They did it last year. I think they could do it again. So it'll be really interesting. Adam, it seems like you got something you want to say here.
Well, Steve, I want to back up everything you said for all my points are taken because I agree with everything you guys are saying. But you know what I like about the Titans is they're building a team right. It's offensive, defensive lines. This is a team that does rely on its defense. It's not about, talent in terms of big names. It's about guys who produce. A.J. Brown, I think, is the best or second best receiver in the league right now about yards after catch. You throw that guy a screen pass, he'd be right up there. He's like Demaryius Thomas of old. You know what I'm saying? Like, he catches the ball, watch out. A.J. Brown is legit. And, their culture, like you said, Steve-O, they built their team right. Also, a knock on the Texans. Just one last point, because you brought him up, money. Is Laramie Tunsil the most overrated left tackle in the NFL? I hear him talked about as like this number one tackle, and he led the league in holding last season. I mean,
well, he may be overrated, but the Texans offensive line for 2-3 years there was awful. So the fact that they at least have him is still an upgrade for them.
That's fair. I'm just saying, people talk about him like he's like, I don't know, the second coming of, one of the greats, So I just, I don't understand that. Anyway, sorry. Thanks, Steve.
All right. So we got a clean sweep here in the AFC West.
Yeah.
Chiefs, and Chiefs. No one thinks that. I know Tyrod's the starting quarterback. I know Derwin James is out for the season. Nobody thinks maybe Los Angeles can make a run with that defense, or the Broncos with their high caliber offense.
No
hope for anyone in that division.
Zero.
It'll be interesting. You do have
to be the only team in the playoffs from that division.
Well, there's a couple of teams in that division. Well, in fact, every team in that division besides the Chiefs, the future is bright, right?
Yeah,
you got to think
I agree.
But this is just not the year for them, and that sucks because you have the Chiefs, right? So, Las Vegas. I think I like Derek Carr. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I like Derek Carr. And I think John Gruden getting underneath him one more time, right? Let's see what he's got, right? I think Las Vegas is going to have an okay year, right? And then you've got the Chargers, which you mentioned, the big defense, but Derwin James is such a big hit with the Chargers. But you still got, Herbert has to learn how to be a quarterback. Cool, he did it in college, but NFL's a little bit different. He's got to learn that. And then Drew Lock is kind of on the same spectrum as that, right? I think the Broncos would be the next best team in that division, and that's if if he takes that step that we think he can take. He's that offense is ridiculous right now.
They have a lot of
receiving core. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, if they hit their potential, then that offense is going to be ridiculous. So I just don't think this is the year for him, though.
All right. So most of the people in the comments section, with the exception of someone, Pete Bonacker, who says the Broncos are going to beat the Chiefs twice this year. So let's get things interesting and go talk about the wild cards now. And Dave, I want to apologize in advance because you're going to have to correct these. I didn't have time to fix the graphic. I know you changed your picks. I got a little distracted by the Josh Allen. I didn't have time to change the graphic. So
That's fair.
I have the Steelers, the Colts, and the Broncos. Casey has the Steelers, the Colts, and the Texans. Adam has the Bills, the Ravens, and the Texans. And Dave, what is your updated, corrected?
Yeah, it's Colts, Titans, and Steelers for me.
Okay.
Not Chargers. Yeah.
Okay.
So that
All
would
right.
be mine.
I want to start with the Broncos. And I want to talk about my pick of the Broncos. And I know it's going to surprise some people, but again, I'm going back to defense, and I think defense is going to be key this year. And I think Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive minds in the National Football League, like one of the best in the National Football League. They got some weapons on that defense: Derek Wolfe, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Justin Simmons. They have some really good players on that defense. I think Vic Fangio is going to be able to do enough on defense, and I think that offense. The Hoof guys are saying that maybe Drew Lock hasn't looked really all that well in camp. But, we're talking Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, Noah Fant, KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. That team's going to score points. All right. And Drew Lock would put up points in bunches
I don't think Derek
in the
Wolfe
second half of last year. I believe Derek Wolfe re-signed. Did he not re-sign on that defense?
Well, a buddy of mine's a Bronco fan. He mentioned it to me today, and then you said it, and then we got somebody in the chat said Derek Wolfe left to the Ravens.
Ooh.
But
he did. I'm sorry.
Even with your, you just named a ton of people. I agree with you. It's Vic Fangio. Like it doesn't matter. He's almost like the Bill Belichick. It doesn't matter who he's putting out there. He's a really good coach. He can get no-name people to perform. So even with Derek Wolfe not being there, it's still going to be okay, I think.
Pump the brakes on Vic Fangio, because I think Vic Fangio might be the next Wade Phillips. Here's what I mean.
Wade Phillips made the playoffs a lot.
I was about to say, I love Wade Phillips. I've got his
I love Wade Phillips too. But you know why I love him? As a defensive coordinator.
Yes.
That whole offense and the team
Pat
just
Shurmur?
seemed to not gel. Yeah, Pat Shurmur. Well, he's on the offensive side now, right? I mean, but I'm I need to see it. I guess I'm not a big believer yet in Fangio. What I saw from the Broncos last season, because they did have some talent. Yes, I mean, they had some injuries as well, but I don't know. I haven't seen enough from Drew Lock. Yes, they have a number of names, and Jerry Jeudy, for example, or Cortland Sutton are amazing, but, I need to see that Fangio can put his stamp on both sides of the ball. Right now, again, I see Wade Phillips. I see a guy who's a great defensive coach, but I'm sitting there going like, but can you coach a team? And we in Buffalo remember that. Can you coach a team? I mean, and so that's my take on Fangio. That's my only qualification there. I just wanted to throw that little pump the brakes element on the offense.
It's not a completely dissimilar path that McDermott had to go down, right? Like, he obviously could coach a defense. That was proven between Philadelphia and Carolina, but could he coach the whole team? And now he has, but it's now, third, fourth year for him. This is only Fangio's second year in Denver.
Right.
And they're like, to me, they remind me a little bit of the Bills, but they seem like maybe a year or two behind the Bills. So I'm not ready to anoint Fangio yet, but they have pieces in place to surprise some people this year for sure.
Agreed.
All right. What are some other things? Because so Adam, you have the Buffalo Bills as a wild card team. Do you think the Buffalo Bills are a wild card team where if they make the wild card, they could make a run once they get to the playoffs? Could they be the Tennessee Titans maybe of this season?
Could be. Here's the thing. The Bills need to, we had some important wins last season, like the Steelers game, of course, or, against the Cowboys. But, we've got teams that are in our head. I think so long as we can beat the Patriots once in the season, we can, take care of some teams that, where we don't feel like, let's say, Lilliputians, right? The little people. If we don't feel like that, the problem with the Bills is they just lack the ability to step on somebody's neck. And that's what happened in Houston. I need to see that. We should have beaten the Patriots at least once last season, maybe twice. And we couldn't. And that Texans game was the same thing. I need to see that during the year that they display the ability that they can not just beat someone, because how many, late game heroics do we need against bad teams? I mean, that we should have destroyed. And I know we weren't the greatest team, but, the thing is, we need this year to start showing that. And if we can do that, then yes, I will say we can make a run. But that's the thing I'm going to be watching for. Week 1, we play the Jets, where we are just a better team. We got to step on their neck. So if I see that, okay, I think they can make a run in the playoffs. But until they do that, I think we're still going to be that same self-doubting team. And, you guys had a podcast the other day about the same old Bills. We're not this, but until we do that, we are the same old Bills. So that's my take on it.
Casey, I got a question for you because I've seen on a couple websites that Darius Leonard is the betting favorite for defensive rookie or player of the year. The Colts have a pretty good defense. I think Matt Eberflus is pretty good. Am I incorrect in seeing that Darius Leonard is the betting favorite? Because I've seen him on a couple of websites. Who's the betting favorite right now for defensive player of the year?
Aaron Donald.
Is it Aaron Donald? Okay.
It shouldn't be Leonard.
Well,
It's
Leonard doesn't
definitely
have the
going to be a
respect
pass
that
rusher.
he deserves.
Hmm?
Leonard doesn't have the respect that he deserves. I mean,
Yeah,
he just
that
doesn't.
That Colts defense, Rockison, I think is going to come into his own this year. They have Arik Armstead, who they just brought in. They have, Darius Leonard, who I mentioned. They have a really good group of players there, and I think Matt Eberflus is maybe one of the most under the radar coordinators in the entire National Football League. I think this guy is like Mike Zimmer 2.0. I think he's going to get a head coaching job sooner or later, and people are going to go, "Who? What guy? Like, who is this guy?" Like, Matt Eberflus is a very good coach, and I think that's why I got the Colts sneaking into that last spot. I mean, Phillip Rivers is actually going to have an offensive line for the first time in a decade. T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack. They've got some weapons to do some things on that Colts offense. I just don't know if it's enough to win that division. I know a couple people in the comment section were all on the Colts. Oh, I'm sorry, DeForest Buckner. I'm losing my mind today. I said Arik Armstead. I'm just not. I've gone through like 6 fantasy drafts today. My mind is shot. So I do apologize.
You're forgiven, my son. It's all right.
Yeah, thank you. I'm better than this. I apologize. Maybe I drink more. But, we've had a couple people in the comment section say the Colts are going to win the AFC South. So totally with them there. All right, let's shoot through the NFC real quick. We actually, in 3 of the 4 NFCs, we had the same with the one exception, NFC East.
Wow.
I have the Cowboys. Abe has the Cowboys. Casey has the Eagles, and Adam has the Cowboys. So, Dave, I want you to make the case for the Cowboys, and then Casey, I want you to make the case for the Eagles here.
Okay, my case for the Cowboys is I think they have the best offense and the best defense of any team in that division. They have look at what they've got the best offensive line. I think that's pretty much not in doubt, right? And now they've got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and they added CeeDee Lamb to that mix. They've got Blake Jarwin, who was kind of in the shadow of Jason Witten last year because Jason Witten, ego, whatever, had to be the guy.
Jarwin's been there for so long, though, and he's done nothing.
He hasn't been there that long.
He's been there at least 3 years.
He's right.
But he's never had the chance to be the guy.
They tried one time.
Well, I mean, maybe as a rookie, I don't know. But, not to mention, they got Van Der Esch coming back. They've still got Lawrence. I think their defense is going to be good.
Everson
and they've got Dak. Yeah, I mean, it sucks that they lost McCoy, right, for the year. But they've got Dak who, people hate on Dak, but he's a good quarterback. He was over 5,000 yards last year. He's probably going to be on the short list for MVP conversation, at least at the beginning of the season, top 5, 10-ish guy for MVP this year. And I don't trust Carson Wentz to stay healthy. And I obviously don't trust Daniel Jones or Dwayne Haskins yet. Now they could develop, but they're not there yet. So to me, the only threat, like Casey put, is the Eagles. And I did have the Eagles as a wild card team. But for me, Dallas has perennially disappointed when they should have won this division. And now they have Mike McCarthy as the coach. So is that going to change things away from how it was with Jason Garrett? I don't know. But Dallas has the best team. They should win the division, and that's why I picked them.
Casey, why you got the Eagles here, man?
Well, one of the reasons why I have the Eagles is because I just don't like the Cowboys, and I could not bring myself to pick the Cowboys. But I don't trust the Cowboys. I don't trust them, right? And you made a lot of good points, and you're correct. But can they put it all together? So many times have we crowned them the
NFC totally East champion, and you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that.
and it's all, I think it all hinges on, can Carson Wentz stay healthy, right? If he can, Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than anybody in that division, and I think he could take it, right? But the offensive line for the Eagles is getting pretty slim right now, so you kind of worry about that. But at the same time, Adam mentioned it with the Patriots. It's the Patriots' division to lose. I think this is the Eagles' division to lose until the Cowboys can step up and actually claim that throne. And that's my personal opinion. It has nothing to do with the fact that I absolutely cannot stand the Cowboys.
I don't think any of us can, but
I'm talking about a 20-year reign of a division, not a 2-year reign of division. Come on.
Sure. I get it. But and there was a time where it was like the Redskins won it, and then the Eagles would win it, and then the Giants would win, and the Cowboys would win. It flipped back and forth. But I think the Eagles have had a lock on that, and that has to do with a lot with the Redskins just sucking and the Giants just sucking and the Cowboys choking.
I have the Cowboys winning that division, because I think they have the firepower on offense with Prescott and Zeke and Lamb and Gallup and Cooper. I think they're going to put up points. I think that's the one exception to the defense first rule, because if you look at the Cowboys, they lost Travis Frederick to retirement. And on the defense, their secondary has been shredded. Like Byron Jones is gone.
True.
Van Der Esch is hurt. Alden Smith's playing for the first time in 4 years, I believe.
But they're not. Randy, a murderer's row of receivers.
Randy Gregory too. So I'm with you. So that's why I'm with you. So I picked the Cowboys.
Rieger.
I'm sticking with the Cowboys, but it should be interesting.
Didn't they draft Diggs's brother or cousin?
Little brother.
Trayvon Diggs.
Diggs.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Everson Griffin is a guy that people need to be paying more attention to.
Yeah,
he's one of the most underrated pass rushers in the league, and they picked him up for a song. And Dak Prescott is on a contract year. Look, this guy has to perform to get paid. He wants to get paid. We know that from this last offseason. So that matters. Just adding that point.
All right. So this is pretty interesting here with the NFC North. And we all picked the same team, but there's a team that maybe no Minnesota Vikings. Does that surprise anyone? Is anyone surprised that the Minnesota Vikings is not getting any play there?
The Packers are.
You like that?
The Packers are getting kind of disrespected, in my opinion. What LaFleur did his first year as a coach was pretty incredible. Now, like, people are going to point to the draft and say they didn't add any weapons for Aaron Rodgers in free agency or the draft, but the fact of the matter is they went to the NFC Championship game last year with pretty much this same exact roster, and they added A.J. Dillon to the backfield to go with Aaron Jones. So they still have the Smith brothers rushing the passer. They have Jair Alexander playing corner. They've got Aaron Rodgers still, who maybe isn't the great fantasy quarterback he used to be, but is still a good real-life quarterback. And they're coming off a run where they went to the NFC Championships. So why the Packers aren't getting talked about more is probably just boiling down to the fact that they really have no one else to throw the ball to that we know as a name brand other than Devontae Adams, because they didn't add anybody. So yes, they have Alan Lazard and they have Valdez-Scantling and they drafted Sternberger, but like that's why nobody I think is giving them the attention. But obviously we all did because we all picked them to win the division.
Yeah, I'll say this about the Packers again: defense. Their secondary is frightening. Their secondary is one of the best in the National Football League. They got those two guys. They got those two guys on the edge. They got the Smith brothers on the edge. It is a scary defense, and Mike Pettin is legitimate. He's another guy who needs to be getting head coach. Be in the head coach conversation again. I think Mike Pettin deserves a redo and maybe a better situation than Cleveland. But on draft day, I was laughing at the Green Bay Packers. I was laughing at them.
Yeah,
and
we all were. Yeah,
I've made a full 180 because it seems to me like Aaron Rodgers is buying in. He's not being petty Aaron Rodgers. He's come in. He's taken Jordan Love under his wing. They have A.J. Dillon to complement Aaron Jones now. They drafted Josiah DeGuara, one of the best blocking tight ends in the draft. I think they're going to come out in a lot of 12 personnel, try to run the ball down people's throats, use the size of Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard and Jay Sternberger, and they're really going to come at teams maybe in a more ground and pound aspect. So it's going to be the ground and pound Packers. It's going to be the ground and pound Packers with that defense, and I think that could be a recipe for success. It's unusual to do that with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, and a lot of people in the comment section are blowing up with Robert Foster. I think by week 8, the Packers are going to realize we need a little bit more speed on this offense, and I think Robert Foster will be up on that active roster and playing a lot because Valdez-Scantling is the only speed option they have. I think they're going to realize they need more speed. Remember a couple of years ago when the Buffalo Bills had Calvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes, and they're like, and Zay Jones, and they're like, wait a second, we need fast people. Like, what? Something's wrong here. I think the Packers will come to that realization as well. But I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be one of the best teams in football this year. And we're going to get to that in a little bit because I have them going to a certain game at the end of the year that I think they have a chance to. Yeah, I think they're going to the Pro Bowl.
Hey,
all right. So
hold on. Let me
really
quick.
Comments?
I want to, the Vikings have gone downhill. You look at some of the losses they've had. Yannick Ngakoue, for example, they're paying him a lot of money, but, I don't even think he was as good as Everson Griffin. Their offense has lost some steam. Dalvin Cook is in a contract dispute, and I don't think they're going to pay him, and I don't think it's going to make him happy. Kirk Cousins he's Kirk Cousins. So I'm just going to leave that there. If there's a threat to the Packers, I know this sounds crazy, but listen to me. If there's a threat, it's the Detroit Lions.
I like it. Stafford.
It's the Detroit Lions. Stafford's coming back. Yeah, Stafford is so disrespected. They have a lot of weapons on offense. That defense, they picked up a lot of players this offseason. I think they could be dangerous. People forget, when Stafford went out last season, they were about 500. They were still competing for the division that was all fighting each other. And then Stafford went out and they went 0-8, 0-9, something like that. So if Stafford is healthy, I think if there's a team that's actually going to battle the Packers for the division, it's not going to be the Vikings. The Vikings are going to fall down to earth. They're going to say, Diggs, come back to us, but he's not going to. And then the Lions are going to be the competitor. That's my point. And that's for my podcast partner, Nate, famous Lions fan. That's for you, bro. But I do believe it's true. I love Stafford.
Matt Stafford's my favorite quarterback in the National Football League. Like, bar none. He's my favorite.
Watch it, bro.
Does
he look good in shorts?
Dude, I love Matt Stafford. I've said it before.
Hey, it's Matthew Stafford. Do not call him Matt.
Sorry.
That's not his name. You better get that right now.
Me and him.
No, it don't matter. His name is Matthew.
He lets me. We're friends.
He lets me.
Yeah. So.
You're Clayton Kershaw? I didn't know that.
Yeah. But dude, Matt Patricia's their head coach. Matt Patricia's a joke. Like no one wants to play for him. We're in a COVID shortened off season. Like they're going to give up by week 4. They're not even going to let Matt Stafford throw the ball. They signed Adrian Peterson to go along with DeAndre Swift, who's already looking like
Johnson. Don't forget
Carry-On. Everybody forgets about Carry-On.
Swift is looking like an absolute bust. They're going to try to run the ball 60 times a game. All these people are saying Matt Stafford's going to throw for $5,000 or 5,000 yards this year. What world are you living in? Is it because they're going to be losing so bad that he's going to Blake Bortles it in the 3rd and 4th quarter of every game?
Kenny Galladay, T.J. Hawkinson, Marvin Jones. I don't
care. Matt Patricia's not going to let him throw the ball.
Pick him up on fantasy.
Their offensive coordinator is Daryl freaking Bevel. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run, pass. Run, pass.
But they got the runners to do it. They do.
Dude, no, they don't. Like it's Daryl Bevel and Matt Patricia. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Daryl Bevel threw it on the goal line against the Patriots, didn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't always run. He throws it when he shouldn't. I mean, but, getting Adrian Peterson, I think, was a great addition. You talk about a guy, he's going to play the Vikings twice this year. Tell me he's not going to have juice.
No, don't even make that point.
That's not a good addition.
Don't even make the point.
I like that addition. Look,
I like him as a running back. I hate him there.
I think he's going to be great. I think they probably picked him up for those 2 Minnesota games. They'll be like, listen, Adrian, you're going to sit on the bench most of the year. We got a good running backs, but these 2 Vikings games, you're going to run it 40 times, and he's going to just pound it down their throat. And I think it's a smart move. I like it. I like what they're doing.
I think watching the Minnesota Vikings play the Detroit Lions this year, they might as well be wearing leather helmets because they're going to run the ball 100 freaking times that game.
I'm going to be watching too.
It's gonna be awful. All right, let's move on now to the NFC South, where we all have the New Orleans Saints.
That's for my boy.
Wow.
That's for my boy.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
No one thinks that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Not a chance.
You may as well have had Vince Young come out and say we're a super.
I have
team.
Tampa making as a wild card, but this is the Saints' last hurrah almost.
Is there any merit to the 2020 Carolina Panthers being the 2017 Buffalo Bills and willing their way to 8-9 wins? Because Matt Rule is Matt Rule is going to have a very good career there in Carolina.
That's
I think
fair.
Joe Brady's a very good offensive coordinator. They got Robbie Anderson. They got Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. Like they got some players on offense. Is there any merit to them being in a conversation?
Their defense is not as good enough as the 2017 Bills.
They got good young players on that defense, though.
What I look at is they gave Rule such a long contract that they don't expect him to do it. He's going to take his time. He doesn't have to make the playoffs. He's got a very long extended period of time where he can go. So he stripped that down. And maybe they overachieved, but I don't see them making the playoffs. I just see him. He knows he's got a long time. He does not have to rush anything. If he needs to trade somebody, he needs to trade somebody, but he's going to take his time. And it just is what it is.
I'll say this. I bet you the Panthers lead the division in sacks. In fact, I think they'll be one of the league leaders in sacks. I think the defensive line is absolutely nasty. Their linebacker, yeah. Well, Brown, Short. I mean, you go down the list. Their front four are really great. But their linebackers suck. Their secondary sucks. Their offensive line sucks. These are some of the key positions. And here's the thing. So that's why they can't be the Bills. And that's to say the Bills didn't have those sucky positions. We got lucky. Let's face that in 2017. So is it possible? Yes, it's possible that luck will reign. But in terms of the talent, I think it's not there yet. But I will say I think that team is going to be a top 5 team in terms of sacks. Not defenses, but sacks. And so I will say that. And I do agree with you, Steve-O, that I think Matt Rule is going to have a good career.
All right, let's I want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but let's switch over to our wild card picks. Before we do that, some shockers here. Neither Casey nor Adam have the San Francisco 49ers making the playoffs, which I think is a little crazy. I don't have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's go through this. Number one, let's start with Casey and Adam. Casey, how do you not have the San Francisco 49ers making the playoffs?
Wow. Okay. I didn't even think about them, to be honest with you. Like, is that bad? I didn't even think about them. Like, I just didn't. I don't know. I can't defend myself because I was making these picks and I was sitting there looking at them and I was going through my head who I thought was going to make it. And I don't know. They didn't even cross my mind. Sorry, guys. You're not that important.
I can defend it. You know, Steve, you say I'm crazy, but how many teams in the NFL, after losing a Super Bowl, go back to the playoffs the next season? That's a statistical anomaly, and the Buffalo Bills are that statistical anomaly. It's very rare that teams lose the Super Bowl and bounce back and are contenders the next season. So I don't think I'm crazy at all. Just saying.
Thank you, Adam. I had the same point. So you remember the Falcons? The Falcons went to the Super Bowl. What did they do the next year? All right. They were not good. See, me and Adam, same wavelength. I did not forget about the 49ers.
I see you, Casey.
Should have had Adam go first. I would have piggybacked and I wouldn't have looked like an idiot on air. So
just want to pause really quick to thank Scott for the super chat. Thank you, Scott. He has a quick question here. Do you think we have a chance to go to full season this year with the pandemic? Yes, I do. It seems like the NFL is going to try to do everything they can to make it through the full season. If you've been watching Hard Knocks, it gives you a little bit of an insight to what the stuff they're doing on a daily basis as far as the testing and making sure everything's kind of good. They seem to be doing a really good job. Second question is signing of Earl Thomas, the Patriots. I don't think he signed to the Patriots.
I think you might have been fooled there, Scott. I don't see anything confirmed or official. I see a couple of fake accounts, but I don't see anyone legit posting Earl Thomas to the Patriots.
Well, if he did, what if they did sign him? Do you think that'd be a big addition?
It would help.
It would be an odd addition, I think.
It would be odd.
But yeah, it would help. But their defense is already very good, and they did lose some guys, obviously. But at this stage of his career, I think, it would help. I mean, you can't say it wouldn't.
All right, so we got a comment here from Mike O'Neill. Who will stop the Bucs offense? Get real. If Brady is half the man he was in Beantown. Here's what I'm going to say about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the reason why I don't have them in the playoffs. I was listening to Colin Cowherd in the background. When I was doing some work earlier today, prepping for my fantasy drafts. And he talked about how Tom Brady in New England was like the kid who lived like with a really rich family, but got like socks and underwear for Christmas every year. And then he goes to Tampa Bay and he moves in and gets adopted by this new family who's not as well off, but they're giving him PlayStations and Xboxes and new cars left and right. Like it's a completely different scenario, which it almost made me change my pick from the Eagles. I think Carson Wentz is a gamer. I think Doug Peterson's a good coach. I think they have enough there to finagle themselves into the playoffs. I like that experience there. But Bruce Arians has always been a down-the-field guy. Chris Godwin's a speed guy down the field. Mike Evans is a down-the-field guy. I know they have the 3 tight ends, but Bruce Arians has never really utilized tight ends until this year. So head coach Bruce Arians is making a massive philosophical adjustment this year with Tom Brady because I don't picture Tom Brady chucking that ball 40 yards down the field. The defense is suspect. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're not great either. I'm just not buying
run defense.
I'm not buying the Buccaneers like other people are buying the Buccaneers.
And here's the thing. I mean, I do have the Bucs making the playoffs, but here's the other thing too. Tom Brady went from being the puncher to now he's going to have to be the one that climbs the hill, right? He is perennially punching on the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins for the last 15, 20 years. He's now got to go into an established division where, say what you want about the Falcons, Matt Ryan, probably better quarterback than Tom Brady ever faced in the AFC East in his years, honestly, facing the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins. And he's got to go, and Drew Brees is there in the Superdome and the Saints. So it's like, it's an uphill battle for him this time as opposed to just fending off the kids, right? Like he's going uphill this time. So I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but I see where you're coming from, Steve. It's going to be a tougher road for them.
One of the commenters mentioned we missed the NFC West. We actually had Seattle sweeping the NFC West, which is why I thought it was
I thought I was going to be the only one picking Seattle there, honestly.
Me too.
Last year, Seattle and the 49ers were neck and neck, week in and week out. It was one of the funnest things to watch in the National Football League last year, where Seattle and San Francisco go back and forth. And I think it's going to be just like that again this year, but I think Seattle's going to get the edge. Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Chris Carson. They've loaded up a little bit more on that defense. I think Seattle's going to win that knockdown drag out this year. San Francisco is going to be sort of the the team that's left holding the wild card bag, which really surprises me that the both of you guys picked Los Angeles, because I think Los Angeles is a joke. Tell me why you like Los Angeles, Adam.
Okay, sure. I mean,
oh, is it because of Cam Akers, Casey? Is it because of Cam Akers?
Yes, it was. It was.
You know,
I was making these picks in a hurry because I forgot. Steve does such a good job preparing. He really does. He reached out to us last night. He was like, "Please get your picks in before noon." Right? I took, about 30 minutes out of my day, and I was really focusing on it. It got to the wild card. I was thinking hard on it. I forgot all about 49ers, right? And then LA was sitting there staring at me. And yes, it was because of Cam Akers. It was just a toss-up. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put the Chargers in there. So I'm so sorry I didn't take this wild card that serious. But you know what? When it comes down to it, and they come and they make it to the wild card, and the 49ers are not in there, I'm going to take back everything I said. I studied hard, and those were my picks. So you just watch them wait.
Adam, what are your thoughts on the Rams?
Look, this is a team that's not far removed from a Super Bowl entry. Yes, they did not go back to the playoffs afterward. Maybe you should take note of that with your Niners pick. But we also must remember that this team was solid last year and competed for the playoffs. Not only that, now we have an extra team in the playoffs. This is still a talented team that's really well coached, that has maybe the best defensive player in the NFL and plenty of great offensive weapons. Yes, they're not, a perfect team at all. But I think that I believe in coaching. I believe in culture, and that it's based on that I think that they can make the wild card.
The talent is there. Like, if you look at the defense, the talent is there. I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. You've got the people there. You've got some no-names that were stepping up. People are starting to forget about Cooper Kupp as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why Jared Goff kind of, fell out a little bit last year, is because he didn't have his security blanket, which is Cooper Kupp. Then we start talking about the tight ends, right? You had, I'm trying to think of his name real quick. If anybody thinks of his name,
Higbee.
You had Higbee came on real strong at the end of the season. And I think that chemistry can really help that offense. They were so worried about giving the ball to Todd Gurley that they start to forget some things about their identity. And I think their identity on offense is going to change, right? Yep. So I don't know. Yeah, sure, Cam Akers is great, but I think that identity on offense is going to change. They are built like the Saints to win now. They just didn't do that, and now they're kind of running out of time. So it's just like the Saints. It's now or never.
It's all scheme with them. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you can plug and play. You don't have to have a number one receiver with them. So I'm just saying, history has proven time and time again that Super Bowl losers struggle to come back. And the Rams, again, people will shit on the Rams and they'll, give Jared Goff a hard time. But that team wasn't terrible last season. So, and if there was a seventh, playoff spot, they might have made it. They might have pushed for it, so they might have had a reason to push for that last week. That'd be my defense of that. And I do agree with my esteemed colleague, Casey. I think he made some excellent points about talent.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the next thing we're going to get to is the Super Bowl pick. Super Bowl picks is the next thing we are going to get to. I'm super pumped about that. We have 150 people. We have 156 people watching on YouTube right now. We've got about 180 on Facebook. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do right now. If you think the Buffalo Bills are a true Super Bowl contender this year, smash that like. We are sitting at 47 likes right now. Smash that like if you think the Buffalo Bills are a Super Bowl contender. And we will reveal our picks in a minute. All right. Numbers are a little bit down tonight. It's to be expected. I kind of forewarned some people when we logged in. We were going to be more NFL than Buffalo Bills focused today. So I want to thank those of you who have stuck with us. It's going to be worth it for these Super Bowl picks, folks. It's going to be worth it for these Super Bowl picks. And trust me, next Thursday is going to be our Bills-Jets preview. And I wanted to start it today, but I had to convince myself not to because, we got to save something for Thursday. Am I right? So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have gone from 47 likes to, let me see here.
48.
48, yes. It usually works. Way better than that. It usually goes up by like 20.
I was right.
Well,
come on, guys. Smash the like button.
We're gonna now reveal our Super Bowl picks. And if you are a fan of any of these Super Bowl picks. Oh, we're up to 82, so we've doubled it. Don't you?
Okay, word. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Well, here we go, folks. Without further ado, and Casey and Adam, I don't have your winners. I have Dave's winner. I have my winner. I don't know who your winners were.
If you know history, you know my winner.
So, here we go. Me, Buffalo Bills over the Green Bay Packers. Casey, Buffalo Bills, New Orleans Saints. Who's winning?
The Saints are going to win that one. Yeah, I've got the Saints winning the Super Bowl.
Dave has the Kansas City Chiefs over the New Orleans Saints, and Adam has the Steelers and the Cowboys. Adam, explain who you have as the winner, and then explain why you picked those two teams.
All right. Well, Super Bowl 10 and Super Bowl 13 were maybe the two greatest Super Bowls in NFL history. They're at least right up there if you talk about top 5 great Super Bowls. And in Super Bowl rivalries, nothing's been better than Cowboys and Steelers, I don't think. Given history, I'm going to give it to the Steelers one more time. I think this is Big Ben's last ride. I think he's going to go out playing great, and I think that defense is going to carry him there. In a COVID year, I think talent matters, and I think there's going to be some interesting things that happen this season that maybe we've been all waiting for, like the Cowboys to put it all together, like you were saying earlier. Money, I agree with you on that. I think people are really underrating the Steelers, but I think this could be another great Super Bowl matchup. I wish I could put the Bills there, but I couldn't do so in honesty. I think they could make a run, but I just don't think they're quite there. I don't think they're quite ready to take on the winning mantle. But maybe I'm being pessimistic, and I hope to God I'm being pessimistic.
Dave, you had Chiefs over the Saints. Explain your line of thinking there.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just really hard for me because, I feel like Pat Mahomes is going to win the MVP this year. He obviously had the injury last year, which opened the door for Lamar. I don't know that in a situation where, let's just say it was the Ravens and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, I just would trust Pat Mahomes more in that spot than I would Lamar Jackson. And the Saints, kind of similar to what Adam was saying for the Steelers, is this could be one last ride for Drew Brees. They got Kamara, they got Thomas, they brought in Emmanuel Sanders, they still have Jared Cook, and that defense is actually pretty good in New Orleans for once. And it was pretty good last year, and not a lot of people talked about it. And they've got one of the best. Unfortunately, not going to matter too much this year. We'll see what it looks like in January. If there's any kind of fan situation happening in the Superdome, we know it's tough to play in there. Probably tough to play in there regardless. But I know history doesn't really say that we're going to get a repeat champ, but something about Pat Mahomes, man, right now, I just don't see anyone taking that crown from him. And we'll see how the season plays out, but I'm gonna stick with Pat, and I think they're gonna beat the Saints.
Okay, so you got the Saints over the Bills. Explain your line of thinking there.
It's pretty much everything that David said. Don't look. My best friend's a Saints fan. Thank goodness he has no idea that I'm on air right now about the Saints, because normally I just trash them all the time. But I like them. I think their defense is underrated. I really honestly think they have one of the most underrated defenses in the league that people are going to come at me for. But that's just what I believe. Cool, whatever. But Drew Brees, this is it for him. I honestly believe it. It's now or never. Look what they've been doing. They try to sign Clowney, and they have no money at all. So I think everybody in that organization knows that this is it. It's do or die. It's like the Rams a couple years back where they started signing all these big names, and it was like, we're going to run for it. I think the Saints can get to the Super Bowl. I think if they can get past, the first round without the refs screwing them, or the second round without the refs screwing them, they can actually win, right? So I'm taking the Saints, and then of course with the Bills, we haven't revealed anything else. But do you want MVP talk? I have Josh Allen winning MVP. If I've got Josh Allen winning MVP, then the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's about the only way he's going to win MVP, right? So he goes to the Super Bowl. I just don't see him winning the big game. So I got the Saints.
Yeah,
Tommy Swinney got gypped on that one. I'm just saying he should.
Here's how I think this. I think this entire season, I think this entire playoffs is all gonna come down to defense, and I think it's gonna be the teams with the best defense with enough offensive firepower to make plays are gonna be the teams that win football games this season. I think culture is really important this year. You look at Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is buying into what Matt LaFleur is doing. I mentioned Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Josiah DeGuara. It looks like they're really going to be going with like 11 personnel, sort of run-first approach. They still have weapons in guys like Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard on the outside, those big bodies in the red zone to go with the Aaron Joneses of the world making plays. I think Green Bay has enough firepower to go with what I think is an extremely impressive defense. Same thing in Buffalo. I think Buffalo has one of the top 5 defenses in the National Football League. And when we get to the playoffs, I trust guys like Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier to scheme up a game plan to stop Lamar Jackson from being effective. I believe in Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier and our defense to scheme up a game plan to shut down Patrick Mahomes. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are absolutely phenomenal. They don't get talked about enough. Those two make or break our defense because they are so in sync. They are so telepathic, and they make things so incredibly difficult on quarterbacks, which is a good thing for the Buffalo Bills because there are a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC that they have to go through to get to the Super Bowl. So if they are waving guys in and out along that defensive line, Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds are making plays at the linebacker position. The secondary is doing what our secondary does. Trey White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Josh Norman and Levi Wallace just picking up the breadcrumbs, what's left over there, not embarrassing themselves. This defense is going to be phenomenal. I think they have what it takes to shut down some of these high-powered offenses in the AFC East in the crunch time in the playoffs. Josh Allen, sort of, even if he has to play some of that sort of schoolyard ball, he's got guys like Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, Dawson Knox, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, and an almost returning offensive line to play that schoolyard ball with. I feel like we can manufacture enough points with that defense to make it to the Super Bowl. So we get to that big game. We get there against the Green Bay Packers, and I just think we have more firepower than the Green Bay Packers. I think we do. Like, there's something to be said about Aaron Rodgers and his experience in that big game, but I just think we have more firepower than the Green Bay Packers once we get there. I don't think if this was a COVID I think if this was a normal season, I don't think I'd pick the Buffalo Bills. I don't think I do. I don't think I would. But there's just something different about this season. There's something different about this team. There's something different about their mindset and the way we're functioning as a unit. I just feel like something special is brewing. So I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm taking a chance here. And a lot of people in the comments section are probably sort of confused by this because I'm the guy who ranked Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow, ahead of Josh Allen. But, believe it or not, I'm a Bills fan. I love the Buffalo Bills.
We all hope you're right. And we all hope you're right.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Like, I don't care if you label me a homer. I don't care if you label me a fanatic, whatever. I will wear that label with pride because I'm all in, baby. I'm all in.
Steve-O, you're the only guy I know who can turn a positive prediction make it sound like an angry rant. And, I was there. I was listening. I was getting pumped up. I wanted to stand up and clap like the end of Cool Runnings. Okay. So I'm with you entirely. You got me believing over here. That's great stuff, man.
All right. Any other comments thank you. Bills Mafia member says we're with you. I appreciate it. So let's get to some fun stuff though, because we did more than just predictions of wins and losses. We also picked some MVPs, and things got a little interesting here. Dave and I went for the easy one, Patrick Mahomes. Adam, you went with Russ Wilson, and Casey.
I love the Russ Wilson.
You went with Josh Allen. Adam, explain the Russ Wilson to us, and then Casey, we'll give you a chance to explain Josh Allen. MVP.
I'll do it in one sentence. Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. The end.
All right, cool. So Josh Allen.
Go ahead.
Was that?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was joking around. That's fair because when I saw NFL MVP, I was like Russell Wilson. That's a good pick. But here's my thing, right? We talk about the third year leap. Okay, we talk about it all the time with quarterbacks. You get to that third year, they're going to play out of their minds. That third year leap. If Josh Allen, and this is all if, right? We could get to end of September and be like, "Whoa, that was a bad bet," right? But if Josh Allen does what he is supposed to do, he has the potential to do with the offense that Brandon Beane and John McDermott have got for him. He should become the MVP. Absolutely. There's no excuse at this point. It's if he can take that step. If he takes that step, he is going to do just wonders. So that's why I've got Josh Allen. That, and it was like a plus 4,000 bet. Yes, I'm going to take that bet. I'm going to throw $10 on that, right? But I've been looking at those bets, and I know that this has nothing to do with it and all that other stuff, but Vegas is smart if we start looking at things. I think people are starting to pay attention to it because Josh Allen has the exact same odds now that Aaron Rodgers does. And a lot of people, when you hear that, when you hear Aaron Rodgers for MVP, people are like, yeah, no, I can see that, right? But if you mention Josh Allen, they're going to say, no, why? Why would you pick that, right? But now they have the same odds. So when you start thinking about it, it kind of makes sense to you. So it all comes down to if Josh Allen has the potential. He does have the potential. Can he put it all together? Can he make that third-year leap? Can he just destroy people?
Steve-O, I didn't call you a homer. I'm going to call Casey a homer.
But I'm not. I'm thinking logically for this. You know what? That's fine. I put money down on it. So at the end of the year, it was like with Ja Morant. I put money down on Ja to win NBA Rookie of the Year, right? And everybody was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Zion's going to win, blah, blah, blah. Well, what happened? Your boy's sitting on some money, all right? So that's all I'm saying. So
hey, if you're right and I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong.
Add the defense into that. KC defense is going to help make the close game winnable. Our record will be a big part on how Josh could win MVP. And he's got a point with that as well. He's got a huge point on that because you're not going to win MVP if you're not winning games. And those defense will help you close it out.
Well, here's the counter argument to that. We have like a night and day schedule compared to what we had last year. We're going to have to play a lot more tougher defenses this year than we did last year. And like the argument for Pat and Lamar Jackson, honestly, is their schedules are far easier. They're going to walk through their schedules. So I just feel like Josh is going to have an uphill battle. Like, could he be on a short list? Absolutely. But it's going to be really tough for him to get above guys like Deshaun and Lamar and Pat. And then you even talk about some of the guys in the NFC like Russell Wilson and Dak. Like, it's just going to be hard, I think, with all of those guys out there, with knowing the Bills have one of the toughest schedules in the league, all these West Coast trips, going to the Niners, Thursday night game, the Chiefs. I want it to happen. I would be ecstatic if it did happen. I just feel like he's got a really tough climb to get into that mix and to win.
One point that I want to make is I was looking at the previous MVP runners, right? And it was all these mobile guys, with decent arms. I'm gonna put Lamar having a decent strong arm, not as much accuracy. But you had Patrick Mahomes, right? And you had Lamar Jackson. So you're looking at these young quarterbacks, and I think that's what it's going to come down to is these young quarterbacks coming into their own. And that's another reason why I like Josh Allen, because he's a young
he's a good bet. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I took it as a bet, but I think it could happen. I think when people hear Josh Allen for MVP, they look at it and they think, well, you're just a homer, as Adam says, or that's just lazy. But there are points. There are points to that.
Oh, Steve-O, let me tee you up before you go, because I know I have a feeling what you're gonna say. This is an offense that passed for 201 yards a game on average, something like that. Not exactly great.
Sure.
It'd be a huge turnaround to get 250 yards a game. But Steve-O, reading your article this morning on the BuffaloFanatics.com, you got me thinking about Buffalo Bills and their passing offense. I want to know what you think about that.
It's interesting because a little preview of what we're going to talk about on Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen threw the ball 40 times on Thursday. Or I'm sorry, we're going to talk about it on Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen throws the ball 40 times on Sunday. Because if you look at the Jets,
500 yards. That's an MVP case right there. 6 touchdowns week 1 against the Jets. You heard it. Judge Mathis said it here on the Bills, guys.
Now you're just putting words in my mouth. But like the New York Jets, if they have anything going for them, the New York Jets, they are very stout up front. Quentin Williams, Steve McClendon, not Harrison Phillips, but Harry Anderson. Plus, they got some good backups. Like, they have a really good rotation on that defensive line. I know C.J. Mosley's gone, but I think it's going to be really hard. Like, I have high hopes for Singletary and Moss this year, but it's going to be tough sledding week 1. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get in a situation where we can't average more than 4 yards a carry. And this offense is legitimately Brian Daboll. The one thing I respect about Brian Daboll is he doesn't baby Josh Allen. There are plenty of NFL offensive coordinators that would try to baby their quarterback. And it doesn't help anyone because it takes you way too long to figure out whether they're the guy or they're not the guy. Brian Daboll's like, here's the Wolves. Go have fun.
Let's see if you can sink or swim. Like Brian Dable, legitimately, he treats Josh Allen like an adult. He doesn't put little floaties on before he sends him out on the football field. So I
wear floaties. So
when you play football,
I haven't played football in a long time.
I can picture a situation where Brian Dable looks at Josh Allen and says, "Listen, the cornerbacks for the New York Jets. The cornerbacks for the New York Jets are Pierre Desir, Bless Austin. I'm blanking on the other corner name right now.
Bradley McDougal.
Brandon McDougal's the safety. Ashton Davis.
Brian Poole, right?
Brian Poole.
Brian Poole's the safety.
He's the nickel. So it's Pierre Desir as their number one corner going up against Diggs. Then it's a combination of Bless Austin, and I'm blanking on the other guy's name, who could be starting over against John Brown. It's still a competition. It's Poole against Beasley, and then you got a rotation of McDougal, May, and Davis in the secondary. It's not awful, but it's also not great. Stephon Diggs is clearly 10 times better than Pierre Desir. John Brown is clearly 10 times better than whatever they put up against him. So if the Buffalo Bills are going to win this football game against the New York Jets, it's going to be Josh Allen throwing the football to his two stud receivers on the boundary. So either Josh Allen, you're either going to get the ball to your studs or you're not going to get to the ball to your studs. There's no going to be manufacturing an offense. There's not going to be any of this garbage. It's literally you throw the ball to your best receivers, get that ball down the football field, or we might not win that football game. I think he does, and I think we do, but that's the kind of situation we find ourselves.
This ties so much back to what I was saying earlier, and I think what we all believe at some level, we need to see the Bills step on the Jets' neck this Sunday.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we need to see them come out and just dominate. And by the way, you guys need like a fire animation to pop up underneath, like, for when Steve starts going.
Steve.
Yeah, it's great. But anyway,
and I'll have like the water can one putting it on.
That's right. But if we see that, if we can see the Bills come out and not just like squeak a win by or the defense wins it, they just come out and they step on somebody's neck and it's 42-10. Okay, all of a sudden that MVP discussion you're talking about, Casey, I'll start buying in. The Super Bowl discussion, I'll start buying in. But I need to see it. I think there's no more prime play to do it than this Sunday at 1 p.m. in Orchard Park, New York.
Yeah,
Bill Stadium.
I want to see Josh Allen throw 35, 40 times. I said this on Twitter today. Like, I'm very much like a run first type of guy. Like, I like offenses that are established off of the running game, all of these things. I'm a little more conservative in my offensive approach. I'm not like Rico Dennison conservative, but I'm a little more run oriented. I really like Stefanski's offense in Cleveland. Like, that's going to be one of my big, I'm going to be watching a lot of Cleveland games this year to see how that offense operates. But that being said, I really want to see Josh Allen. I really want to see him throw the ball 35, 40 times this game. I want to see Stephon Diggs get 10 targets, and I want to see John Brown be in the 6 to 10 target range. I want to see the two of those guys combined for 20 targets. No excuse. Those corners are awful. They're awful.
This is the game that Josh Allen finally cracks 300 yards, and he has a couple touchdowns. We'll just say 2-3 touchdowns, right? This is the game that it does it, and the national media is like, hey, Josh Allen, he's a kid. Colin Cowherd was saying the other day that, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the MVP for the Dolphins and that he trusts Ryan Fitzpatrick over Josh Allen because he was the MVP of the Dolphins. And people just are not taking him serious. And I think this is the game, because the corners are so bad in New Jersey, that Josh comes out there, lights it on fire, and the media finally takes notice of who Josh Allen can be.
He better
let's
do
leave
it.
Let's leave something for Thursday's show.
I won't be here on Thursday, so they can be like, y'all see Freedom Weep, he's an idiot, right?
I know, but Steve-O, he's not going to control himself. He's going to keep, letting all Thursdays. Let's save something for Thursday. This is great.
We got a couple of things left here. We have our players of the year, which I thought was interesting. I went with Christian McCaffrey and Von Miller. Casey went with Christian McCaffrey and TJ Watt. Dave went with Lamar Jackson and Nick Bosa, and Adam went with Matt Stafford and TJ Watt. Matthew Stafford. I'm allowed to call him Matt. We've already decided this. I'm allowed to call him Matt. I'm his biggest fan. I got like four framed photographs of Matt Stafford throughout my house. I'm allowed to call him Matt. But
weird though.
Adam, explain this Matt Stafford thing to me, because I'm as big a fan of Matthew Stafford, Matt Stafford, Matthew, as we like to call him when we hang out. on our European vacations over the summer. What is your offensive player of the year? You really think he's going to put up those kind of numbers?
All right, Kershaw. He already has put up those sort of numbers. He's had
when he had Megatron, and they couldn't run the ball.
Actually, I think Megatron actually made it worse because they had to target him. They had to focus on him. It was such a – I actually think the receiving core is better now in a weird way because he doesn't, have to focus on that. I love Galladay, Jones, all that stuff. I think Hawkinson, he was really great till he got hurt. What was it, week 3, week 4? I mean, he was flashing. I think Stafford, could easily get into that. And the reason he's going to get this offensive player of the year, one, he's coming back from injury. So you could say, guy who returned, whatever, a comeback player. But I think he's coming back from injury. He's going to get the Lions that last playoff spot. He's going to be competing with the Packers. He's going to make the Lions look legit. And I think he's going to put up over 4,800 yards in passing if he's healthy all year. So I think Stafford is going to be, he's going to be lights out. He's going to be fun to watch. I think he's going to be a storyline. And, there's been talk about, how does he fit into this scheme and all that, but he'll show him. I believe in Stafford like you do. I call him Matthew, because I'm actually his friend. But
you call him Matthew?
Matthew. Oui. Oh, no, I mean, but I just think they're going to be competing. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive than people think. I think the Bears are going to take a nosedive. I think the Vikings aren't going to be as good as people think. Watch out for the Lions. I know they got a bad coach in Matt Patricius, and if you watch the NFL Basement, you know that name. And but that being said, they did get talent, and I just believe in Stafford. I think he's going to will them to that last playoff spot. And let's face it, when you have 7 playoff spots, you don't have to be that good. You can be really solid.
Dave, explain your 2 choices. I think Lamar is pretty obvious, but what about Nick Bosa?
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Well, I actually, to be honest with you, I was kind of going back and forth between which Bosa I wanted to pick because Joey obviously just got that monster deal. He's got Ingram on the other side. I think the Chargers would have a good defense, but I think it's going to be harder for Joey to get recognition in that division this year with the Chiefs kind of blowing. I think Chiefs going to be blowing that division away. So the reason I went with Nick Bosa is because I think I did have the 49ers making the playoffs, and I think that the 49ers are a team, unlike Seattle, where the focus is really going to be on Russell Wilson. I don't know that Jimmy Garoppolo is really carrying that team to any victories, but I think Nick Bosa really showed last year that dude's a game wrecker, and he could be a J.J. Watt type of guy, like a younger version of a J.J. Watt. And, I like Adam's pick of T.J. Watt. I think T.J. Watt was also, Casey, was it you that picked T.J. Watt as well?
Yeah.
Another great option. Defensive, heavy division there. But I just feel like Nick Bosa, after what he did last year, I mean, this guy, he's going to put up monster sack numbers this year. And that defensive line is really solid. And honestly, Kyler took a lot of sacks last year. Russell, for as good as he is, he takes sacks. And
he doesn't have an offensive line.
Jared Goff isn't the most mobile guy either. So I feel like Nick Bosa is going to have an opportunity to put up big numbers sack-wise this year on a team that should be in the playoffs. So that was my reasoning for Nick Bosa. Obviously, could have went the easy route when Aaron Donald, but I didn't want to go chalk with that one, so I went with Nick.
All right, well, some people got TJ Watt. Who's got TJ Watt? Both Adam and Casey got TJ Watt. So, Casey, how about you explain TJ Watt to us?
I just really like TJ Watt. I like what he does in the field. I think he's a game wrecker.
Easy schedule this year.
He does have a very easy schedule. I think he can take over a game. I think him and Nick Bosa are pretty close when it comes to all that. But I think I'm trying to remember this correctly, but I'm pretty sure his numbers were very close to what JJ did when JJ won Defensive Player of the Year. I'd have to dig up the graphic or whatever, wherever I saw that. But if TJ can continue the trend, and I think TJ is I wouldn't say 10 times. I think he's a better player than his brother is, and I think he just has a higher ceiling. And I think people are going to notice that this year. So I see TJ coming out real quick.
Can I make one quick point to back both these guys? Because I think they're both right. The thing that makes both those players really good is the fact that both are surrounded by tons of defensive talent. So they don't have to do everything. You can't triple team them. You know, you have so many players coming back on both sides. So I think both those are great picks.
Yeah, no, I'm going with Von Miller. I think he's going to come back this year with something to prove.
Same thing.
He's the kind of guy who has another guy across from him, Bradley Chubb. I almost said Nick Chubb. Vic Fangio turned Khalil Mack into a really good player. I think he's going to do it now with Von Miller. He's going to reignite that career. And then me and Casey both have Christian McCaffrey. I think Joe Brady's offense, you saw what Clyde Edwards-Helaire did in college. They're going to be throwing the ball to him a ton. They're going to be running the ball with him a ton. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to get 30 touches a game, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. Casey, you need to hear a story about what I pulled off today. So I'm in a dynasty league, right? And this dynasty league allows what's called a super flex. For those of you who don't know what a super flex is, it means you can play two quarterbacks. Quarterback is a part of the flex. So you can start a second quarterback on your fantasy team. I had the first overall pick in the draft. First pick, I took Christian McCaffrey. Then it snaked all the way around. And with the first pick or the last pick of the second round and the first pick of the third round, I went back-to-back Dak Prescott, Josh Allen. So I got Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen. That's like a guaranteed 90 fantasy points a week. That's guaranteed.
Fair. That's fair. Josh
let's crown him. Let's crown him.
Crown me.
I mean, you probably lose and you'll be awful. I mean, you're not that good at fantasy.
Well, let's face it. I mean, you're lucky you're not taking on Sweeney's Weenies again this year because we all saw what happened.
I love coming at you.
Too soon?
Like I feel like in we have a lot of group chats, and every time that we're in a group chat, I just talk just mad trash about Steve, and I feel like people think I hate him, but I just like talking trash to him, and like people just ignore it. They're like, "Dang, I bet Casey really does not like Steve," but no, I just like talking trash to Steve. That's it.
I have a very trashable face, I guess. I don't know.
That's fair.
Punchable face is the phrase we go with.
Let's get to the last one. I forgot to change the title, but this will be Rookies of the Year. I have Jonathan Taylor and Kyle Duggar as my offensive and defensive player of the year. Casey went with Joe Burrow and Jeffrey Okudah. Dave went with Joe Burrow and Chase Young. And Adam went with CeeDee Lamb and Patrick Queen. Adam, I really like that pick of Patrick Queen. Talk about that one.
Okay, it's kind of like the defensive picks, that Money and Casey chose. And Patrick Queen, first of all, that dude's a gamer. He's a baller. He reminds me like of a Matt Milano type in terms of his aggressiveness to the ball. You can throw him at the quarterback. He's good in coverage. He's going to thump you. He's not, lightweight as a tackler. I think Patrick Queen, he's also going to have the offensive linemen be kept off him. You remember the Ravens picked up Calais Campbell. They have a really solid front four if they need to. So I think Queen is going to be kept clean, and I think this is a guy who's going to rack up tackle numbers like crazy. And I think that's the thing. His tackle numbers are going to be the sign. I think he will get one or two turnovers this year. I think he'll get a couple sacks. I think the overall work is going to show off, and I think it's because he's been put in the best situation, but he's also just straight up baller.
Mm-hmm. And then you had CeeDee Lamb, and then Dave. I feel like an idiot, by the way. In the comment section, someone said Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If I could go back and change my pick, I'd probably replace Clyde Edwards-Helaire with Jonathan Taylor. But Dave, you really went out on a limb with your picks.
Yeah, come on, Dave.
The first and second overall picks in the draft. Explain why you went chalk there.
Well, Adam makes a good case because a lot of times linebackers, whatever, the tackle numbers get you kind of the recognition, right? I don't necessarily think Chase Young is being put into a fantastic situation where he is. I think he's going, he's going to be getting all the attention from.
They got a good defensive line though. At Washington.
They do.
Team. I mean,
but Chase Young's going to have to put up close to double-digit sack numbers to be in consideration for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So, although he is he was the number 2 pick in the draft, I don't think it's I think it's harder. I think it's going to be harder for him to win it just based on the fact that it's going to have to come down to sack numbers. And if he doesn't get those sack numbers, he's not going to have a chance to win it. It's going to be a guy like Patrick Queen who racks up 100 tackles, or it's going to be, someone else. So although it does seem chalky, I do think that it's not as clear cut as maybe some people think. So from the betting angle, like from Casey's angle, I would not bet on Chase Young to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, just based on the odds that he's getting. But I do think he can. I do think he can win it. And then Burrow, obviously, I think naturally you tend to give the Offensive Rookie of the Year. A lot of these offensive awards go to quarterbacks, and he's really going to be the only offensive rookie quarterback that's going to be starting in any kind of meaningful snaps that we know of. Like Tua may end up coming in later, Herbert may be coming in later, but we know Burrow is going to be the guy from day one. And so he's got Auden Tate, he's got Tyler Boyd, he's got AJ Green, he's got Joe Mixon. It's not going to be easy because it's going to go up a lot of tough defenses, but statistically, I think he's going to be able to put up, 3,000, 3,500 yards, whatever he needs to win the award. So
Casey, Jeffrey Okudah, explain yourself.
He's a plug-and-play player, and he makes that defense 100 times better. He's going to get a lot of attention, right? He's a rookie. People are going to try to come at him. They're going to try to test him. He's going to compete, and he's going to win. He's just amazing. So yeah, why would you not? Sure, I could have went Young, but I thought that was just overkill. No, he's a plug-and-play player, and he's going to compete, and he makes that defense 100 times better. And it just is what it is. That and his odds to win Defensive Rookie of the Year are pretty awesome. They're pretty solid. They're plus 2,000, which ironically is the same odds of AJ Epinesa, which I didn't want to go AJ Epinesa, right? Because the rotation that Buffalo does on the D-line is a little bit different. I don't think, like David said, he's not going to get the sacks that he needs to win the Defensive Player of the Year. But Patrick Queen is plus 800, so that's not a bad bet there at all. So no, I like Jeffo. I'm gonna go with it plus 2,000.
Well, not only that, Chase Young will also be on a rotation. People forget how good that there's depth on that Washington defensive line, and it's Ron Rivera coming in there. What do you think he's going to install? I think that Young, he's going to be, he's not going to be in there, 80% of the snaps. So just agreeing with you guys, I guess.
Jeff O will probably be in there 80% of the snaps.
After seeing the comment sections, I immediately take back my Jonathan Taylor. My point for Jonathan Taylor was I think he'll immediately become the bell cow there in Indianapolis with a really good offensive line and a quarterback like Phillip Rivers who will keep defenses from stacking the box. Jonathan Taylor's had a lot of success at Lucas Oil, both in Big Ten championship games, at the Combine. He's used to that stadium, Midwestern guy. I think there's a perfect fit for him in the draft. But that being said, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just going to get a massive number of touches. So I really think, Zach Allen, you're really hammering the point home here. He is definitely, I think, going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year at this point. I think his touches are going to be insane. I think you let the masses win.
You let them come for you, and they change your mind. Be a man about it.
It's all right. People are crushing me for picking chalk on all these because don't feel too bad.
But
you get crushed either way.
I'm steadfast in my pick of Kyle Duggar because New England lost a lot of talent on that defense this year. They lost Dante Hightower to opting out. They lost Kyle Van Noy, Patrick Chung. A lot is missing on that New England defense, and I think Bill Belichick is going to use Kyle Duggar like a chess piece to recreate a lot of that. He's going to be the tight end stopper. He's going to be the blitzer. He's going to play a little bit of linebacker to set the edge to sort of play off the edge and get a bunch of tackles. I think Kyle Duggar is a guy who could put up 3-4 sacks. He could force 3-4 fumbles. He get 3-4 interceptions. Like he is just a gadget Swiss Army knife in that New England defense with a guy like Bill Belichick pulling the strings. I really like Kyle Duggar as a prospect. I think he's raw. I think he's a couple years away from being the best player he can be. But I also think there's a chance under Bill Belichick that he can flash right away and do some special things in that defense.
I like what you're saying if you're right, but Belichick is actually kind of famously bad at picking secondary players in the draft. I mean,
but that's when they're from Rutgers.
That's fair. I mean, and if you're right, he would definitely stand a chance. I think CeeDee Lamb does need to get talked about for just a moment because I think he was the steal of the draft. I mean, how the Cowboys ended up with him amazed me. I'm sitting there going like, how is this guy falling so much? Lamb doesn't I think the problem with Lamb is a little like Hopkins, D-Hop, like he doesn't necessarily move exactly like you think a receiver should. There's something odd about them. The way they, go down the field and all that. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be dynamite. And the thing is, he's never going to have to face a number one cornerback all season. And, I know receivers tend to not blow up year one, but if somebody was going to. Say again?
Rookie receiver thing that kind of holds me back because they're a little bit sluggish to start off, but near the end of the year, they start to catch on. So it's that first couple of weeks that it takes a little bit for them to catch on.
And I agree, and I wouldn't ever pick a receiver to win the offensive rookie of the year. But this is the one exception because in the draft that stood out to me so much. I'm like, what the hell? How the Cowboys get CeeDee Lamb? So, and because I think that kid's going to be legit, and it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, in the comment section, if we have any last-second questions, hit us up. We'll stay about another 5 minutes before we close things out here. I think one of the longer Bills guys shows of the year, but it was worth it. I had some fun. I felt like I needed tonight to sort of reset my brain because I've been so Bills focused. I've been so Bills focused all off season that I haven't really thought outside of the sort of Bills bubble. So it was a fun thought experiment to look around the league, look at some depth charts that I haven't maybe been paying a close attention to. So I really enjoyed this, fellas. And there's no two better guests to talk around the NFL than the host of the NFL Basement and the host of the Buff City. So if you are looking for NFL talk every Thursday on the Buffalo Fanatics Podcasting Network, you have Adam Nannini. Every Sunday morning, you have this man, Casey Reed, gracing your ears, not your eyes, but ears.
Grace your ears.
The Buff City Podcast with things like fantasy, all those other things. Carson Bills, I'm going to get to you in a second. I'm going to put that schedule up there for you, buddy. I seen that comment. I saw that comment earlier. You also drop your articles on Wednesdays, your fantasy betting articles, right? It's Wednesdays, correct, Casey?
Yeah. So I asked my wife that question today when I was driving home. I was like, when is my article? Is it Tuesday or is it Wednesday? And she said, Casey, I have no idea. It is Wednesday. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. I was going to find out regardless. I've got Adam. I have it written. Don't worry. It's written. It's a good one. I promise.
You watch your ass, bro.
I drop it on Wednesday, and then the podcast is on Thursday, and we talk fantasy and gambling.
Now you got the Drunken Bills mailbag. If you guys aren't on Twitter, you guys got to get on Twitter. You got to follow Adam Nannini, and you got to participate in the Drunken Bills mailbag. Describe for the people who don't know what the Drunken Bills mailbag is.
Well, it's a piece I created a couple of years back, and it was just sort of meant to be, sports talk is often very serious. I mean, we take it very seriously, and we should. It's fun, but I wanted to inject some humor into it. And one thing I always loved about the Bills was the sort of like antics in the parking lot and the drunken behavior. So I decided to start this Drunken Buffalo Bills mailbag, and been doing it for years now. And people tend to respond well. I have some regulars that, contribute. And basically I put out a theme, and people ask the most drunken and ridiculous question they can. And basically the goal is to have a laugh with a little bit of football knowledge and a little bit of football information. But mostly it's to keep it light. And I think there's nothing more important right now in 2020 than a little levity. So that's the whole point of the mailbag.
All right, Dave, sorry, Casey.
I need everybody to go and read my article on Wednesday that comes out Wednesday, because my goal right now is to have the most read articles on thebuffalofanatics.com. I've got 2 of the top 3 right now, and I'm trying to get 3 of the top 3. So I need everybody to go on Wednesday, click on it. It's my first stardom sit-em for fantasy. So if you're looking for fantasy advice, obviously I'm talking Bills fantasy, but I'm also talking across the NFL fantasy as well. So go and click on that.
Guy.
Well, Steve's up there. It's me and Steve going back and forth, and I'm sick of them. So go ahead, click on it, and read my articles.
I thought you said you don't hate Steve. It sounds like you got a little animosity, bro.
I think he's just jealous.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'm a little jealous.
All right, Dave. Any parting thoughts before we head out tonight?
No, I want to save my my real good thoughts for Thursday, since it's opening night of the NFL. It's gonna have a different feel to it. We're gonna have a different vibe.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna don't forget, we gotta let everyone know we're going on at 7 p.m. on Thursday. That's gonna be our new schedule. Since we're on Mondays and Thursdays, we're gonna be doing 7 p.m. Now, Steve, we need to figure out for the first Monday, since there's 2 games, what we're gonna do. Maybe we still go on at 7. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But regularly during
the game start? What time
7 and 10. It starts at 7, the first one. So we got to figure that out. But for regular schedule, will be Mondays and Thursdays at 7 Eastern.
Okay. Maybe we can't take the day off because there's a Bills game to talk about. We will have to ask the people on Twitter or ask the people in the comment section what their thoughts are. Maybe we can put the game up on the – that's illegal. We can't do that. But all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a new best friend, make it Buffalo Fanatics. The number is down at the bottom of the screen. It's unfortunately really bad timing on my part. It's off the screen right now. Come on around. Come on around.
There it is. It's on.
Come on around. It's not for me. Come on around. Come on around.
There.
NFL season predictions today. Text BF 716-219-0086. Rico, Pierre, and Bobby, they're manning the phones. Rico and Pierre often work nights. So even if it's like 3 in the morning, you can just text them and be like, hey, you up? Like you always text those girls when you're drunk. You can just text them. They'll respond.
Oh, God.
You have a little Buffalo Bills talk.
That's how you get your rocks off.
By the way, Steve, stop texting me in the middle of the night. I don't like it.
It's like text the girl, text Buffalo Bills talk. I know
speaking of texting people in the middle of the night, head over to manscaped.com. If you ever want girls to come over in the middle of the night, you got to shave your balls, folks. So head over to manscaped.com. Using the promo code Fanatics. Free shipping, 20% off. And last but not least, Carson Bills asked for it. Here's our lineup, 7 days a week, folks. Mondays and Thursdays are the Bills guys. Tomorrow night is the Hoof Live with Sterling, Anthony, and Eric. Wednesday is the Hump Day Hotline with Joe and with Jay Spence. Friday and Sunday is the Rico Report. And Saturday is my new favorite show. Well, it was my favorite podcast. No offense to all you people here. But now it's my favorite show, Bills Overdue, with Jeremy and Max, the two funniest cats in all of Bills Mafia. So that is the schedule for this week, folks, and every week. We have you covered. We have you covered here at the Buffalo Fanatics. And until next time, we're going to loop around. We're going to start with me, then Dave, then Adam, then Casey. We'll give Casey the honors since he hates me so much. I want to try to get him back on my good side. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.